Welcome to the Propaganda Report. This is Monica Perez here with our favorite and now most stylish activist, the election integrity activist Garland Favorito, showing off some of his wares. I guess voter GA has some swag. Tell us about that first and foremost.
Okay, well, we got our first order of shirts in, and I think I was showing you this last week. Got a big voter GA logo. They're in white on this, and then on the back, here's what it looks like. And we have a barcode and
there's
to
a little
check your vote on there as well.
Nice. So there's a QR code on the butt.
Yeah, that's to donate. To donate.
No way.
Yes, the QR code it'll go right to the donate page of Voter GA, so you can run a donation. So somebody can wear these out, and you can stick your phone and scan on it.
Do me a favor and get a Sharpie and autograph one of those T-shirts for me, so I can wear it with your actual autograph on it.
A couple of people have asked me to do that.
Yeah.
I have your shirt here. I think you said you wanted a medium, right?
Yes, please. And with your autograph, that'll be awesome.
And now one thing I forgot though.
If anybody donates $500, would you send them a free T-shirt?
Well, sure. To be honest with you, you don't have to donate $20 to get a free T-shirt. So
that's true. That's true.
I shouldn't have said that. Yeah. I know I shouldn't have said
that. That's true.
I just lost $480, so I'm not a marketeer.
Put your donations in the form of a $20 T-shirt purchase and a $480 donation, and then there won't be any confusion at all.
Yes. Unfortunately, we don't have fulfillment all set up just yet. But by the way, I forgot what color hat you wanted. We had blue and oyster.
I think I wanted white for the.
I thought you did too.
The coolness.
That's what I was thinking.
Thank you.
You'll need that in Southern California.
That's right. For as long as I have to be.
Yeah, the white is the coolest. The blue, I think, matches the.
That looks nice.
That matches best. But the red really pops.
Well, that would be great for a MAGA rally.
Yeah. So it's just a matter of what color you want.
I don't want to skip to the end, but later we'll talk about where you're going to wear your red hat. There's something coming up that you're going to wear.
Well, we can talk about it now if you want.
Okay. So what are you going to bring? You should bring a box of those red hats to sell on what's the event? Tell us about it.
Yeah. So the volunteers have, just a real quick one, we're going to go to court Monday and we'll talk a little bit about the lawsuits, but the volunteers have decided that they want to take a bus to the Save America rally and promote Voter GA with their logo on, their hats and their shirts and everything. And so we've got a bus going from down to Perry next on the 25th, leaving from we'll probably have a stop in Atlanta, and then we have a stop on I-75 in Locust Grove at a church to pick up all of our folks from down there, so they don't have to go into Atlanta and then drive back to go to Perry. So we're trying to be considerate of all the volunteers. So
how many people are going to fit in that? What's the capacity?
55 people, I think, or we can get on the bus.
And it's going to be so fun in the bus.
Oh my goodness, yeah. and it's going to be a riot. And so we'll go down. It's going to be a long day. They're going to work the crowd, and we'll have a lot of Voter GA stuff there. A lot of flyers and buttons and push cards and press releases to explain things and have our talking points. So it'll be a really fun event. So yeah, we need a tri-corner hat also.
You have one, don't you?
We do. I have one around here.
Where's your guy? Invite the guy. Who's the guy who wears it?
Ricardo.
Yeah.
But we actually have we had those for sale at some time to promote another vote, but that event was canceled, not by us, but by the promoters. So we'll have to work on that as well. So anyway, that's what's happening. We'll be heading out, and you can, if you want to sign up and join us, voterga.org events tab and the volunteer tab both have the all of that ready to go.
How can other people
sign up on the link?
How can other people get your autograph on the swag?
Well, they can. There was a couple of different things. I autographed a few at Golden Drops last week, And
Tell us how that was. For some reason, my keyboard's over here. I have an intermediate
sure.
set up, so tell the world.
It was
Yeah.
great. It was great. So we, Aviva was there and she performed, and she also brought Amanda, who was her backup singer in the band, and they sound so good together. And we've sold quite a bit of merchandise. We've probably sold at least $500 worth of merchandise, probably getting close to 1,000 now. And so we're going to have to order some more stuff. And this is really helping us with our fundraising as well. So that was great, and we I signed a few different shirts and things with different sayings on it. And my favorite one was Chris Busey's, but I've forgotten exactly what it said now, but it had something to do with restoring the sanity of the democratic process. So, which is almost being lost now.
I was upset because last time I saw you, I forgot to bring my copy of the book you wrote. And what's the name of it? I always get the name a little bit wrong. American Destruction.
Our Nation Betrayed.
Yes.
Yeah, our Nation Betrayed. A Mutually Assured Destruction.
Yes.
I actually wanted to name it Mutually Assured Destruction, but another fellow named Mike Rupert said he wanted to use that title. So
okay.
And it was kind of an interesting story. He came at it from a different angle. We both came to the same conclusion. But yeah, that's Our Nation Betrayed, which is still a few copies.
Yeah. Next time I'll bring it so you can sign it. You should have signed them all. Okay. So if people want your signature on the swag, is there any way they can personally request that from you?
Well, they can come right now. We don't even have this stuff up for sale because we're afraid we're going to sell out, but at the rally. So we won't put it up until we've got enough that we know that we don't have to back order anything, because we don't want people to be upset with us for not being able to fulfill the orders.
No, yeah, don't do that.
So the best thing to do right now is to come to the rally. I'll be down there, and I'll be probably at wherever our booth is around 5:00.
Right.
And then the other thing, we'll probably have another event at Golden Drops in a week or two. And
that's super fun.
I'll be there. That was fun. We wanted to do it today, but we just couldn't pull it together.
Is Golden Drops a cafe?
Yeah, it's a cute little cafe. It's in Decatur, and it's got an indoor and outdoor seating. The outdoor is covered, and they have a lot of different coffees and pastries. But there's one of the best things they have is a Cuban sandwich. So they're really, really good on that.
That is my favorite sandwich ever, except for I can't eat bread anymore. I don't know what the hell happened to me. I used to be able to eat absolutely everything and like whatever. But oh my gosh, so I love a good Cuban sandwich. But I also like a good cocktail. So if I am coming into town, I'll be happy to go to Golden Drops. But then we gotta go to Cold Monk after that.
You can have both. Oh, you want to go to Bold Monk Brewery after that?
I do.
Okay.
Isn't it the Cold Monk? Isn't that what it's called?
Bold Monk, yeah. Bold Monk.
Bold Monk.
Yeah.
Got it.
I don't know if he's cold or not, but
yes, I don't know, but he won't. What? He won't be cold after we show up. That's for sure. So okay. All right, so you're going to have to look at this. Everybody wants stuff. Oh, my gosh. The Michiganers want it. Ism-Kent wants a copy of your book. Ism-Kent, I just bought it. On like Abe Books. There were a few floating around.
That was very smart. That was very smart. It's out of print. There's a few floating around on Amazon. There's a first edition and a second edition. The first edition was in 2000. The second edition has some 9/11 stuff on it, and it was the first published book that questioned the government's role in 9/11, or the government's version of the facts in 9/11. So that was very unpatriotic to do that, because that was June of 2002.
Wow. We were just talking about that. We did a 9/11 doubleheader. So there's a podcasting kind of consortium, the Union of the Unwanted. So I was on that. And then my friend Cam, I don't know if you've met him yet. He fills in for Binkley or me when one of us can't make our regular daily show. Mm-hmm. And on his show, we did a 9/11 kind of retrospective as well. And he started off by reading an article, Harry Brown, the great late Harry Brown, wrote the day after 9/11 called When Will We Learn? And he wasn't even saying like the official story wasn't true. He was saying even if the official story is true, blowback is blowback. And if you stick to the principles of respecting sovereignty and the principles of the golden rule and the principles of self-defense, you won't be vulnerable to this kind of thing. And I thought that was also, it was really courageous to speak out. The scales didn't even fall from my eyes for over 10 years after that. I just didn't believe that our government could ever have done that. I just didn't understand the true nature of like the conflict of interest. I knew it was theoretically true, but I just didn't believe that there were American leaders who were that not, didn't think of themselves as being personally at risk if they gave up this country. And it's an international power elite.
Yeah, it's a pretty scary thing to even think about.
So we don't want to go into it because it doesn't really matter. But since it was 9/11, that's been up quite a bit on the news.
And
so
it does matter, but I just it's just the thought of it is just beyond belief, as you said.
Yeah.
Whether our own people would sell us out.
Yes. Or even just be so, even just in the foreign policy that they admit to it's a sellout. Just destabilizing a place that maybe has people who were truly capable of that is a sellout. It makes a vulnerability there. So, okay. So Golden Drops was fun. The next thing is Perry. What I have it up there is voter GA. It's definitely, is it in the events? Is it?
It's in the events tab. The very first thing well, first of all, we have our hearing posted. For Monday, and that event, the rally is all right underneath that, or I think they're 1 and 2. I'm not sure which one's first.
What's the date of the rally?
Rally's the 25th. That's Saturday.
1 week from today.
Yeah. So we're really excited about it because we're going to be in front of so many people and get the word out, and it'll grow the organization tremendously.
Okay. It is my husband's birthday next weekend. So I'm going to be a little bit out of pocket. So we're definitely not going to do it on Saturday, but we can do it. We can have an update on Sunday if you want, or you can do it with Binkley. I
can't do it on Saturday either because
you can't do it on Saturday. That's what I'm saying.
I have a presentation, then I have to go down there.
All right, forget it. So maybe we skip a week, and every once in a while if we skip a week, then the next week is just all the more jam packed.
Well, we can do Sunday if you want. Right. Sunday's fine.
Let's see. So what about Monday? What's happening Monday?
Monday, we are in court at 9 a.m. Henry County. That's also posted on voterga.org events. That will be WebExed. So essentially kind of a WebEx type live stream.
So you could show up or you can do it live stream, right? It's either one.
That's right. Henry County Courthouse, I think it's 1 Courthouse Square, McDonough.
What do you prefer? You want to show up? You want people to show up?
Well, yeah, we love for folks to show up. That's great. And it's always encouraging to have a full courtroom, which we had last time. There's already quite a few media requests in.
Okay. So hold on. I'll make sure this show gets into our podcast feed immediately, like tomorrow morning, so that people have some warning. So that means that this would be posted on September 19th. And you're talking about Monday morning, 9 a.m., September 20th, 9 a.m. Eastern in Henry County Courthouse, where you're having what? What is it? You want people there. What is the hearing?
Yeah, so the hearing will be for the Fulton County Ballot Inspection. And that will be, it's going to be an interesting hearing. The defendants they're kind of split. Several of them want to get to the truth, just like we do, and one or two of them don't. So it's going to be interesting. We have a kind of a cool little strategy that we think that we can make things happen and get a favorable ruling either on that date, which is Monday, or we'll get it within a couple of days. So we're very encouraged about it. And so there's several different ways to watch it. we will at WebEx will be one way to watch it. It's on voterj.org events, and then I think Ted Metz, a Libertarian candidate,
Yep.
is for governor. He's going to be able to help us and get that back up real quickly by recording the WebEx. And then our longtime videographer Nydia Tisdale is going to be in the courtroom. She's got her Rule 22. She's been so helpful over the years, as has Ted, in doing so much videography for us. And so she was the first one to get in the courtroom back in when we first started back in, I guess it was the months run together now.
Dude, can you
March,
believe
April,
it?
I don't know.
We're in September already. I remember asking you, okay, so what's going to happen on December 14th? What's going to happen on January 6th? And now I'm asking you what's going to happen on September 20th.
I know, it's crazy. And it's just like, you're right. I remember January 6th was the first time. And we take a little baby step. I was looking at all the things that we have gotten. Each time we go to court, we get one little thing, whether it's a protective order or the ballot images or the conditional approval, or we beat down a motion to dismiss, and we finally got the ballots unsealed. So we're winning, but it sure is a slow process. So it's slow and painful, but we're getting there.
Yeah, but so many of the cases got dismissed. There were many. I'm sure there were dozens, if not hundreds, of cases filed since November 20th, and the vast majority of them are no longer going through the process. Like, why do you think that is? Bad judges or people didn't file correctly? I know some of the high-profile ones had some procedural issues, but do you feel like, I mean, if your judge if your judge had decided to just get rid of this, could he have?
Well, he would like to, but I think he's going to rule in according to the law. I think he's really committed to ruling according to the law, and a lot of judges are not. They'll back into decisions to do whatever they want. But I feel like we have a good judge. I think the thing that hurt some of the other cases is that first of all, a couple of them were bad judges. They were, the U.S. Supreme Court not hearing the Texas case. I still don't get that, but I'm.
And what was the reason? Standing?
Yeah, I don't have. Certainly, one state has standing, and actually, that was 17 states have standing to sue 6 states in the United States Supreme Court. If they don't have standing, who does? That was kind of crazy.
Right. The Supreme Court, which probably does not have the constitutional authority to rule on the constitutionality of congressional law, exists for the purpose, maybe 2 or 3 things, but one of them is expressly, I believe, to resolve disputes between the states.
Exactly. So where else would you go but to do that? So that one I don't understand. I need to sit down and read that ruling whenever I have time and figure out how they could have dismissed that.
Who was it? 5-4?
Well, my understanding was Chief Justice
Roberts was the
Roberts,
of course,
was the guy who
they must have something on him, boy.
Could I don't know. I don't know how you would possibly turn that one down. It
was like crazy. Obamacare. He did that too. Yeah. And it was like, are you kidding? It can't be a tax because it didn't originate in the House.
Right.
This didn't even. It was like good one, but
yeah. And some of the other cases have been overly complicated, and that's probably what's hurt them. And they're a little bit esoteric, trying to prove foreign influence, flip votes, and that kind of thing that's not our approach, which we can talk about for our lawsuit.
I'm going to ask you a question though.
Sure. I know you're in deep thought, I can tell.
Yes. When you read the Constitution and it talks about how to elect the president, it does appear that the states can basically do whatever they want to get electors to vote. So I can understand why you would have a case against Georgia, right? Or Fulton County, because they're violating their own process to give, but the Constitution doesn't give anybody a right to vote for anybody, right?
Yeah. So time, place, and manner of conducting elections belongs to the states. So the federal government has very little power in determining elections. Now, if it's a federal election, then they got a little bit more leeway. But
why would Texas have a right to sue California or Michigan?
Well, I think you said it perfectly earlier. I mean, that's where discrepancies between states are resolved in the United States Supreme Court.
But what would Texas's argument be? Like your argument, you diluted my electoral college by having people who are ineligible to vote?
Well, right. So my understanding of that was similar to what you just said, is that, yes, that the people of other states had their right to vote diluted based on potential fraud that occurred in the 6 states that in which have a highly questionable evidence. It's similar to our suit. That's what our suit is.
Yeah,
right?
Your suit's okay because it's against the state, right? Am I annoying you?
Well, no. I was going to get the drink.
I thought that was like a flash of this chick's got to back off because she's annoying.
No, I had to go get. By the way, these are what you sent me. I'm drinking what you sent me.
The most overpriced sun drop on earth.
Yeah, I felt guilty. I felt guilty drinking, but I'm still drinking.
No, but I mean that's for fun. It was any price for fun. Yeah. So no, but yours is okay because the way I look at it, and this is me. This is we're probably not on the same page with this. It doesn't help your argument, but in all on, we are. This is all about integrity. So I'm going to make my case. I feel like I've always felt like if you were to say California, so voting eligibility is voting eligibility federal. So it's local with the federal limits of like civil rights and stuff, right? So like
yeah. Okay. Yeah, county, it's a county thing.
So if constitutionally speaking, if California wanted to make their rule for voting on election day be not citizenship, but presence, like if you show up at the poll, you are allowed to vote. And that's it. I think that would be constitutional. I think they have basically absolute right to determine where they allocate their electoral votes on a state-by-state level.
Yeah, so that's an interesting point. But I would then, if I was in Georgia, would probably file a lawsuit, and that would have to probably be resolved in the United States Supreme Court, arguing that my equal protection rights were violated because, or in Georgia, you'd have to be a citizen, but in California, saying anybody can vote. Therefore, that would dilute the votes of citizens. So there would probably be some type of argument raised there.
Okay.
On an equal protection constitutional basis.
Yes, but equal protection comes out of the 14th Amendment? Is that right? What's equal protection? I don't have.
That's 14th Amendment's due process.
No. 14th Amendment is about citizenship.
No, I'm sorry. You're right. It's both equal protection and due process is in the 14th.
Well, due process is in a couple of places. So
so is equal protection. That's in a couple of places.
Shoot,
as well.
I almost never am without a constitution handy. As a matter of fact, I'm positive. I'm always within arm's reach of a constitution. I'm sure I have one.
We're showing our ignorance today. We should know this right off the top.
It's outrageous. I'm outraged at myself. But here's why. Like, no, it's not really just ignorance. It's the fact is that when you start talking about equal protection in that way, you start moving away from states' rights and into individual rights, which is, you could consider that like the Reconstruction era amendments as making that transition, incorporating the Bill of Rights into state law, which I disagree with. So my argument would be a strict construction of the Constitution that a citizen of Georgia would have absolutely no right to make claims on. A citizen of Georgia only has a claim against the state of Georgia and how the state uses its electoral votes. And Californians would have an argument. So if California had a bunch of illegal immigrants voting, other Californians would have the right by saying
Right.
that vote is diluted.
Right.
My vote is diluted, but you wouldn't, because California has a certain amount of votes. They're entitled to submit them, and it's up to the people in California to deal with that. Whereas your suit is against Georgia for not adhering to its own laws.
Right, right. So, I mean, you're right. The time, place, and manner of elections is left to the state. So yeah, absolutely. And right, ours is equal protection within the
And
state.
the executive, Kemp, should be on the hook for this. Ultimately, I know the Secretary of State should, but so Kemp is the executive. The Secretary of State is in the executive branch, right?
Yeah. So, and
They're supposed to
interesting.
execute the laws.
So, in the ballot inspection case, Fulton County is on the hook because it was Fulton. It was a county thing. But however, in the Dominion lawsuit, as you know, we filed a lawsuit in August 24th to permanently ban the Dominion Democracy 5.5 system from Georgia. That is against the state. So that would be the governor, as you said, and the Secretary of State and the Attorney General.
Was that a legislative decision?
The legislative decision was to legalize the unverifiable voting that occurred. However, they didn't do that really very well. So they actually left statutes in there to make it illegal. So it is, in fact, illegal, according to the U.S. District Court rulings, to have an unverifiable voting system, which is what we have. The decision has already been made by the U.S. District Court. So we're going to court in state court, Superior Court, just to get the relief that the U.S. District Court hasn't granted yet.
Okay, so let's move on to that. What is the status of that case?
Next week, they will have to respond, they being the governor or the Secretary of State. The Attorney General will probably go forward and try to get one of those two parties dismissed. And then the other party will probably have to stand, trial at the hearing to explain why they did that. My gut feeling is that the Attorney General will try to get the governor dismissed out of it, and the Secretary of State will remain culpable for since he ultimately signed the purchase agreement to buy the unverifiable system. So that would be my guess as to how it plays out. And of course, the AJC will say, "Oh, the case was dismissed." Only one party. Either one of those parties. We don't really care as long as somebody's going to defend it.
But what you want is, I guess, would be the equivalent of kind of specific performance. You don't want Ravensburger to get impeached, like you, or whatever, get fired. You just want to get conforming machines. No?
Right. We're suing to get the law upheld, and we're asking for a new system. So, and we'll see. I mean, there's different alternatives that the court could go with, but we'll see. But we're prepared to take it even further if necessary, because the system really has to go. It's not a trustworthy system, and it never should have been. It never should have been sold, manufactured, or much less purchased, which is the real issue. And I've always said vendors can manufacture whatever garbage they want to,
right,
but the real culpability is in buying it, with our tax money and somebody who authorized the sale of it. So
Are you aware at all of any kind of UN or other international body having a kind of protocol or a recommended model for voting? Is there anything like that? Because I remember, I think you turned me on to something. I think they use it in Germany. It's like black box voting or something. I don't know what it's called, but remember that? What was that?
Yeah, called? I think if I'm not mistaken, they just do all hand marked paper ballots.
I think they do.
And they hand count them.
And the funny thing is, they're socialist anyway. So I just see in Europe, I think that a true vote gets you socialism. Here, I don't think a true vote gets you that. And I really mean socialism. Like, that word's thrown around like crazy these days. I can't stand it, but it's truly that's how they think. And I think I understand why it's different there and here. But are you aware of any international protocols recommended by, say, the UN or any other body like that? And anything about that?
Well, would you trust the UN if they did recommend a protocol?
Of course not. I'm actually the reason I asked that question is if I knew what protocol they recommended, I might get a little bit closer to understanding why Dominion makes a machine like that anybody, what I'm trying to get at, what I'm trying to like puzzle through is if you have a machine like that, who wants that machine? Right.
Well, yeah, see, that's a great question. So, and in fairness to Dominion, it's not just their machine, it's the ES&S Express Vote does the same thing.
Yeah, why?
So yeah, see, that's a really good question because think about this. So for ever since 2002, at least 2002, really 2000, we've had this paperless, unverifiable voting system, like the old direct recording electronic DREs, that has been ridiculed nationally for being an unverifiable voting system. So your question is, why would two voting system vendors, actually three if you include Unison, why would they turn around and build and manufacture another unverifiable voting system? It makes no sense unless the intention is that you want to sell it to people who want to cheat. I don't see any other rationale for it. Now they will argue, oh, it's a little faster to use a QR code when you're tabulating. Well, that's milliseconds, and you're not going to notice milliseconds, so that's not a legitimate argument. And so, I see no reason to manufacture another unverifiable voting system. It's crazy stuff, and it's both Dominion, ES&S, and I think even Unison have one.
And all incumbents would theoretically want to cheat, right? So anybody in power who would then control those machines, even if it's just for that minute, which is why I always hate it. Like, don't have your guy, don't lower your standards because your guy is in office right now. It's the most short-sighted thing ever. And
yes.
So, and I guess I was just wondering if beyond that, like if there's that's just a one-off thing though. And I can't help but feel that like there's the old theory that like, is government incompetent? Are the politicians incompetent? If they were incompetent, sometimes they'd screw up in one direction and sometimes they'd screw up in the other direction. But they always seem to screw up in the direction of more centralization, fewer rights. So it always seems to me it's a coordinated. That's why I was wondering about like the UN or somebody, if they have, and I would go, and if you directed me to something like that, maybe I should just do a little research myself. I would go and read the actual wording of it. And it would of course start with the words, in order to help people, we will recommend this, especially women and girls. In order to help people, especially women and girls, we would, want Dominion voting machines. So that's like everything starts with that. Rockefeller Foundation, they all start with because we are good. But that's not really the reason. And if you read the fine print, you can see what it's going to get to. And if everybody in the whole world is kind of getting on that same page, then I would, kind of figure like, okay, the UN is in on it, who wrote this, who is advocating it. I don't know. It smacks of something global.
Yes. That everything the UN does is global. So
yes, that is true. Okay. So was there anything else that you wanted to hit before we get to questions?
I don't think so. It looks like we got a lot of questions. So I'm up for trying to answer whatever I can.
All right, I'll try to, it's harder when I have to do this myself. So I'm going to pull it up and you just talk when I pull it up.
All right.
Okay. Hold on. I like to hear from the beginning.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm trying to start at the top because sometimes it matters that people are answering something that we've already talked about. So that's why I like to.
Gotcha.
So yeah, he just wrote a book. We talked about that. Here we are. We're almost there now.
Yeah, that's true. We don't talk about that much, but it's out
Okay.
there.
How many ways to access this podcast? I'm on YouTube. Do you know the total number watching? How can we get more to take part? Now, I used to just do it on my channel, and it was like 1,000 hits in real time. But now we do it on like 8 different channels. So I have no idea. People have requested to add their channels to the thing. There's a lot of people who are in this movement. So I don't mind spreading it out, but it does make it harder to know the answers. Now, I'm going to put it on my podcast tomorrow. So the propaganda report, if you sign up to our feed, the propaganda report on iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts, then it will automatically pop up on your feed. If not tomorrow, by the end of today, because I want to make sure it's out there so you get an overwhelming presence at the courthouse.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, we had a good presence last time, so it was
so Stuart wants people to know that we need to, it's at voterga.org/events. I think he's talking about the bus next Saturday. You need to register.
Yeah, and it is a $30 donation for a seat down and back, because we have to pay for the bus. That's the thing. The volunteers pay for everything. You know, there's no expense. They want to do an event, they cover it, they collect money for it, and then, you know, we end up usually having a little extra left over that we can put back in the coffers. So it's amazing. The volunteers are just amazing. Well, sometime we'll have to do a whole show on that.
Yeah, well, maybe we should have like a streaming party with them on it, and maybe another little fundraiser, but we do it like this and I can put 10 people on the screen. Actually, if we did it Zoom, we could do 100 people. So it would be really fun to give them a little credit and show people the faces behind the action. So let's do that. Let's put that on the agenda. Okay. Nydia, no doubt, will help with that. So let's say, yeah, she's so good. In the meantime, who has been guarding the ballots?
Yes. So who's been guarding the ballots? So there is one of the attorneys for the other 2 plaintiffs in the case Bob Shealy has hired an independent security firm, which I think is Douglas County sheriffs and some other folks, you know, former sheriffs and deputies. And they are kind of overseeing the warehouse, and then the Fulton County and Henry County Sheriff's Department are, I understand, kind of integrated, having dual role responsibility as to watch the warehouse. So that's the way
still the way it is.
That's what we think it is. Well, it's still a concern though.
So Joe says, Garland, is your lawyer able to talk to Ruby? If so, can you give her and her crew the opportunity to spill the beans and let them know they will be prosecuted or they will not? They were told to do this crime higher up. I don't know any of that. Is that for sure, Garland? What's your opinion on the facts he's stating and also on access to Ruby? That comes up fairly often.
Yeah, so right now discovery is suspended because of most of the motions. What we're first trying to do is to get discovery reinstated so that we can do the inspection, we can do depositions for these folks and find out what happened. At this juncture, this is a civil case, it's not a criminal case. So what we have to do is establish what happened from a civil perspective, and then we can see what can be done from a criminal perspective. But we would probably have to do that independently because I don't think we can rely on the Inspector General's Office of Secretary of State or the AG or anybody else, a district attorney, a U.S. attorney, to actually prosecute this. And there's just been an effort to cover up any type of potential corruption that involves any election official, which is just absolutely absurd.
I think UD is referring to the Texas case, which is what I think constitutionally, but you're right. The Reconstruction amendments probably trump this. They said the other states didn't harm them because they ran their own sovereign election. But I think that I like the idea of respecting the sovereignty of the states, but that's been passé for quite some time. I'm surprised that.
Yeah, I'm all in favor of sovereignty of states. The only issue is if if there was cheating in one state on a federal election, it could impact the votes and dilute the votes of people in other states. So I think the federal election would cross boundaries, but nothing else should.
So we're hearing that Our Nation Betrayed is still available on Amazon, but you gotta snap them up quickly. So
I need to buy one. I only have one.
You need to. Well, I'll save this one for you if you ever get desperate. But you should probably put out, once this is all said and done, you might want to put out another printing of it. So Joe says he's in California, went to vote. It did not show up for 2 days after the election. They rigged it here big time. I don't know if you were following the Newsom recall at all, but they were calling it before the votes were in by a lot.
Oh, really? They're saying that he's saved, huh?
Yeah, I don't know. What difference does it make out here? People are just true believers. It's unreal. Anyway, so Perkins Cole lawyers tried to interfere in Arizona audit. Did Georgia have the same problem?
They tried to interfere in Michael Dougherty's case, which was a U.S. Senate challenge that Judge Amaro had, I think, basically dismissed. That's Michael is appealing now, but they have had no interaction with our case, either one of our two cases. And really, I mean, how could they? Because if they do, they're going to be recognized as being opposed to election transparency in the entire country. And then if they did anything with our Dominion suit, then they're going to go against the U.S. District Court's hearing, a ruling that's already been made. So I don't know that they have much of a leg to stand on our two cases.
I think it's a little weird that the Texas case said that as a sovereign, they can do whatever they want, yet the feds are allowed to come in and say, because of civil rights, they can interfere with the elections.
Yes. Now that right. There was the Voting Rights Act thing here as well at one time, but I think that was all repealed a couple of years ago.
So like there can be a federal voting rights, they can, the federal law, I think that's kind of obnoxious that the Supreme Court read it that way. Anyway, so did you tweet something sarcastic or incendiary about Ravensburger being a hero of the election lawsuit? Or did Ism can't get that wrong? I noticed that Ravensburger came out sounding the alarm against Stacey Abrams taking some position of power. I just started laughing because he still thinks people think he's a Republican. That's hilarious.
Yeah, so he's been, Ravensburger has been, first of all, I'm not really familiar with that exact tweet but Ravensburger was opposed to us all along in the amicus brief. And then after the judge ruled to unseal the ballots, then he said he was in favor of that.
Yeah.
Completely reversed his position. On the same day, he was arguing against us in court with the assistant attorney general.
That was really outrageous. But of course, who would ever know? Because what newspaper is going to report both of those stories side by side?
Exactly. It's very disappointing that the news will just print anything he says. So.
Joe wants to get him fired. He's like, he breaks the law. And I agree with you there.
There is a petition to recall Brad Raffensperger right now. It's an uphill battle because it requires, I think, something like 1.5 million signatures over a 9-week period. So I don't know that would happen, but it is circulating right now. And I think that's Women's for America's First is doing that.
What about the reports of the polling pads being used to change the votes? Any news on that front?
That one I'm not familiar with. Now, technically, a polling pad can't change a vote. The election management servers or the scanner tabulators could change a vote if they were hacked. The polling pad is only going to allow you to determine if you're authenticated to vote. So it could misauthenticate you or vice versa, but I'm not really aware of that in regards to changing the votes, but it could adjust the votes in that way by authenticating people who shouldn't be voting or not authenticating people who are
That would be powerful.
Who are valid. Yeah, it's another avenue you got to be careful of.
That's powerful. Jen wants to ask, would open source voting machines help fix things with the machines?
Yeah, I believe so. I think that scanner tabulators need to be open source. So it's not just the issue that the ballot marking devices are hackable, but the scanners and tabulators are also hackable, and they need to be open source. And we have to have a lot of extensive auditing around these elections, which we don't have at all. So votes can be changed, and nobody could do anything about it. So I think that's a really, really good question.
I understand. How many duplicate scanned ballots are we up to in Georgia, or is this information that's yet to be released?
We know that there are hundreds of duplicate scanned ballots in Fulton County. We don't know about the other counties because we haven't been able to analyze them, but we're trying to look at all the key counties, and we have a top 10 list that we're trying to analyze in the same depth that we looked at in Fulton County. But we've got quite a ways to go on that. It's a slow process. We got a lot of great volunteers working on it.
How many? Like if we wanted to do a Zoom party with all the volunteers, how many people would that be?
Oh my goodness. Well, I mean, we literally have hundreds. And yeah, I mean, so we have, just to give you an example, we have a ballot inspection team. We have a ballot image analysis team that's divided into three categories. One is the open records request team, and another is the OCR team that's trying to convert the data and optically scan it and read it and come out with results. And then we got another data analysis team that is actually checking and performing the analysis. Then we have all the volunteers who do events and that kind of thing. So we've got so many groups, plus we've got publicity team, we have the litigation team. So it's amazing to see all these folks that just come together and they want to donate their skill to our effort because they believe in it and they're sick of listening to politicians.
Absolutely. I'm with you there. So Joe wants to know how much to take that hat off, sign your name, and send it to him in Canada. How much does he have to send you?
So it's, first of all, it's free. The autograph is free. The donation we're asking for is $20 to ship it to Canada. That we haven't even gotten the shipping, but we're trying to have a flat rate shipping of like $5, so that if we ship something, you can order 1, 3, 5, whatever it is, however many pieces you order. It's only a $5 shipping, so that would try to encourage you to order more stuff. So
he wants the one you're wearing, though. So I think that you need to wear a different one every single time. So it's like Eric Clapton, have an Eric Clapton pick that he used, but I think he uses a different one for every single song, so he could throw it out into the, so he has to wear a different one every single time.
I hadn't thought about that. He wants my personal hat. This is my personal hat.
You can charge more for the personal hat.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll have to bump the donation up. I'll hang on to this hat for Joe for a few more times until we can figure out how to ship it.
Okay, thank you. Joe will hold you to that. He's a very good friend of our show. I know Joe well. So Douglas wants to know if you ever got an answer about who removed the police guarding the ballots.
No. So this is a great question. The police, Fulton County's sheriffs were supposed to be monitoring that building. The shift changed apparently, and the two sheriffs left, and no one came. And then the alarm went off, and that's when the independent security guard found out what's happening. So the last I heard, they brought this up at a county election board meeting, and they still hadn't gotten the report from the sheriff's office of Fulton County as to what happened. So a really good question, and I think that we need to have an answer about that.
How about that Trump letter?
Yeah, so Donald Trump sent a letter to Brad Ravensburger this past week saying, hey, you've got 340,000 I forget. No, wait a minute. Maybe I'm sorry. It's 43,000 ballots that have no chain of custody forms that came in through drop boxes. What are you going to do about that? Don't you think you should investigate that? And then that comes on the heels of the True the Vote study that has found that there were ballot inspection, ballot harvesting teams dropping ballots in different drop boxes around 3 or 4 counties: Fulton, DeKalb, and I think Gwinnett, and maybe Rockdale. I believe there were 4 counties involved in that. So, and Brad has been completely quiet and numb on this.
How is that surprising? It is not. Kelly said to check out the Truth Seeker Society channel on YouTube. It's cities worldwide participating. We are not alone. I don't know anything about that. I looked at it. It does exist. If people want to check it out, maybe we do need to connect globally ourselves to push back on the globalists. So okay. Do you agree that paper is the only way? The potential to cheat is too great with any computerized system. Paper is the only way.
Yeah, I think so. I would like, first of all, we've always advocated for hand-marked paper ballots. Now the question is, can you tabulate those without, or hand count them? Obviously, hand counting, I think, in public is great. If you are going to tabulate them, you got to have I think, first of all, you have to have open source software, and you have to have extensive audits, neither of which the Secretary of State's office is willing to do at this time. So therefore, the only thing that leaves is hand counting of hand-marked paper ballots. Until they have decided to they want to really make it transparent. It's just not transparent.
I don't see why. I just remember when a little tiny town in Maine with like 3 voters outed that there was fraud or whatever. The vote count wasn't accurate because the people in that town voted for Ron Paul. And when they looked at the spreadsheet that gave their town a couple of votes, it didn't have any Ron Paul votes. And I just feel like at a small enough level, if districts are at a small enough level, you wouldn't have to pay a single penny, and you would get anybody who votes, or millions and millions of people vote. Anybody who votes in that town would be happy to just sit there and count it together and watch it written down on a piece of paper. All the people in the room could say, hey, I know my little town has this. This is the tally. I'm watching it. And then there's a spreadsheet that could be on the local town's website. And then the one of the county would have all the towns, and then the state would have all the counties, and it would be like Wikipedia, it would be like Frederick Hayek. It's like this group crowdsourcing of like validity that everybody, the checks and balance would be inherent in the system. I feel like, so I think the paper ballot looks like it's a massive undertaking, but it's actually a lot of very tiny undertakings.
Right. The more you can bring it down, the easier.
And it wouldn't cost anything because you wouldn't need machines. And I would do it. I've done it. And I don't even believe in voting, but I'm just like, if I'm going to get off my ass and vote, I might as well stick around, whatever. But anyway, I mean, not in that exact scenario, but I've put my time in to make sure the votes are, look at what we're doing right now, what you do all the time, but even whatever, a little bit. Okay. So what the heck, Lydia? Could blockchain or hash graph be used in any way to secure the votes? What do you think? I don't know what she's talking about, but I bet you do.
Well, I think it's another technical solution. I think it's just too far in the future to consider that right now. Right. Okay. We have so many simple problems that
yes,
and that I don't know that they would solve anything yet. It's just the technology is not quite there yet.
Yeah. Okay. How off do you think? What do you think do you have any speculation you care to offer about how off the mail-in ballot count would be? I don't think there will even be 147,000 ballots, which is why Brad is scared. Oh, wow. Do you care to opine on that?
Well, what we're more concerned about is even if the numbers match, are the votes recorded correctly? Because if you have counterfeit ballots in there, let's suppose you have 147,000. But you've got 10,000 that are counterfeit. So they need to get those 10,000 out of that count, and they need to figure out how they got in there in the first place so that we can prevent it from happening again. So even if the totals match, that's not what we're concerned about so much
The public is clamoring for autographed hats, Garland. Clamoring.
Well, we did order we have a pretty good quantity of hats, and we can get some more. So there'll definitely be enough to go around.
Joe wants to apologize for pushing the punishment, but the reason this keeps going on is that there's no prosecution. Civil case is done. Others will donate again for a criminal case. They will do this again. Yeah, I agree. Without consequences, there's absolutely no reason. There's no deterrent whatsoever. What's the problem? You lose your office, whatever. But there's no deterrent.
Right. And I'm seeing no desire on the part of the Secretary of State to prosecute anyone who may have been involved in election fraud in any county. The only ones he's gone after so far are the whistleblowers.
Yeah. What about when the AG denied your case against Kemp for the 2016 malfeasance while Kemp was running against Stacey Abrams on issues like voting thing? I smelled a rat with that.
Yeah, that was actually, we filed that case in the Fulton County Public Integrity section. And found out that the Fulton County Public Integrity section was lacking in public integrity because they did not want to pursue that case whatsoever.
It's just a honeypot to attract you and bury it.
Exactly. There you go.
Cool. So Lacey says, thoughts on Secretary of State saying they never found Susie's ballots when they looked. I have a feeling they did find them and took them out. I think that was the reason for the break-in. Does this make sense? Is this Susie, our Susie? What? I don't know.
Yeah, Susie Voyle. Susie Voyle. So I think that happened before the break-in. Well, first of all, we don't know it was a break-in. The alarm went off. And we don't really know why. They said that it was something was insecure in the second floor area. So, but the Secretary of State, much to our amazement, one of the attorneys, I think it was Amanda Clark, actually acknowledged in court that the Secretary of State had admitted that they had gone in and looked at the ballots and found that, there were none like Susie described. Well, how did they do that? They violated the law by looking at sealed ballots. So we are trying to figure out how that happened. That was a huge story done by.
There should be a suit against them for that. Are you considering that?
Well, what we've got to do is find out what happened. Personally, I thought they were lying to discredit Susie, but then they seemed to admit it. We're just going to have to find out what happened. Once we can inspect the ballots, we'll be able to examine the custody and figure out that whether or not they actually did open ballot boxes illegally.
Okay. We are about to wrap. We've got a few more questions. Let's hit them fast because we turn into pumpkins in 5 minutes. So paper ballots with backup voting systems. That seems okay, right?
Yeah.
Dizzy Dish says, do you not think that they should get rid of mail-in ballots, period? You don't think that, Garland?
Yeah. So this is a really good question, and we get a lot, and sometimes people are surprised. I've always advocated to vote by mail. And the reason for example, in Georgia, is that if you vote in person, you're going to vote on an unverifiable voting system with a QR code in it. We don't think that's appropriate for anybody to do. So we advocate for vote by mail. And then we'll hear once in a while somebody say, "Oh, well, you're suing because of the fraud in the election." Okay, well, yeah, but the fraud wasn't committed by the voter. The fraud, if it happened, was committed by election officials. What we want to do is have a clean mail-in process that is strong and secure. And we actually had that before. Most of the problems that we had with the mail-in ballots in the last election came because Secretary Ravensburger subverted the mail-in process and specifically allowed it to have implement ballot harvesting. One of the key things was with those drop boxes. Never should have been implemented. So he actually facilitated and subverted the existing mail-in system and it's almost like he took every step possible to make this to do this on purpose. The other thing was the signature consent agreement, which reduced the signature rejection rate by 90%. Just to give you an example, Fulton's rejection rate of signatures was 3.5%. After this agreement, it went to 0.3% approximately. And what he did, the agreement said that you didn't have to verify the ballot signature against the signature on file. You could validate it against the application. So if the application was submitted fraudulently,
Right.
then it's then you could submit the ballot fraudulently. So these things he kept putting in place, and it appears to be a point-by-point intentional step to subvert the mail-in process and make it as just like even now is worse in California.
I think it, and correct me if I'm wrong, but if people say to you, well, you have a problem with the mail-in ballots, aren't mail-in ballots bad? I might ask, isn't the reason that you discovered the fraud and are pursuing the fraud and have an easy way to prove the fraud because mail-in ballots are paper?
Absolutely. The thing that helps us so much is that mail-in ballots are hand marked. They're marked by hand.
So if there hadn't been mail-in ballots, you would actually be have less fodder for the case that there was fraud. You wouldn't even have been alerted to it because necessarily not in this way, because your 4 affidavits are about mail-in ballots that were seen by poll workers.
Right. And the in-person ballots all look alike. So you can't find a duplicate in-person ballot because one that votes for Joe Biden looks just like another one that votes for Joe Biden or whoever.
And that's what Joe's asking. Paper receipts on voting machines, would they make a difference? A little bit, right? But not what you're saying. It would make them all look the same. So maybe it's better than a QR code because you can look and see that that reflects what you voted. But it isn't unique. So it takes away one of the elements of an audit, right?
Yeah, there's a really slick process that Mark Fincham from Arizona has come up with security paper that would actually allow you to have a receipt that cannot be traced to you as a voter, and you can go home and check how your vote was voted. It's a very, very clever, and I would love to see it implemented in Georgia. But it does not tie the voter to a ballot, but it allows the voter, and only the voter would get the receipt, and they would be able to check online to see that their ballot was actually cast as they had thought that it would have been cast.
All right. With that, I'm going to ask folks if they want. Somebody asked if they can donate through the YouTube live stream. I know there's a way. I'm sure I can't do it the way we have it set up like this right now. I think you have to have like thousands upon thousands of subscribers, 10,000 or 100,000. I only have a few thousand. So I don't think I can do that. But you can quite easily right now, which I've done many times, and the people listening we are, of course, grateful. I never see any numbers or anything, but I'm hoping that we make a difference. voterga.org/donate. You can just click real quick. There's a PayPal thing. It's actually a little too easy to donate because I'll just do it. I'm like, wait a second, I think I already did that. But yeah, go for it.
Yes, thank you, Monica. Yeah, it's huge, and it is a 501c3, and
I know I love
that. And all the money goes to the lawsuits or the inspection. I don't take a salary or anything like that.
All those volunteers, nobody gets paid anything. Nobody gets a check.
Right.
You must have to pay some legal fees.
Well, yeah, we have legal fees and court costs, inspection fees, and we have some admin fees. There is a little bit of admin, but very, very little.
Well, thank you so much, guys. We absolutely love it. Okay, so that's it. Until next week. I think we might do one next week, but I'm not 100% sure. And in the meanwhile, I'm going to put this right up so that people can go to the county courthouse in Henry County Monday morning at 9 a.m. And they can find that at voterga.org/event. What is the room and the courthouse? We're talking September 20th, right? Monday, September 20th at 9 a.m. What is the room number, or is it just one big courthouse?
Well, it's the second floor. I think it's courtroom 2A, but it's easy to find.
Second floor.
You get off the elevator and it's right there on the right. So
and that'll be the room buzzing because there are going to be a lot of people there. We want people to just flow out into the hallways in a show of support for you and this case.
Thank you. We appreciate it. And I'll get to say hi. And if you're there,
All right. Thank
shake
you.
your hand.
Thank you, Garland Favorito. As always, see you next time. Thanks, everybody, for coming.
Okay. Thanks, Monica.